I was the so-called officer by authorities. So I was a legal representative, and I signed a contract between the EU and whoever was selling the house.
Yes.
On behalf of the EU, of course. But the whole process was done 100% by the administration and by Brussels. But at the time, as maybe uncomfortable as it might have been to see all these things recycled in the media, you know, I really didn't have time or energy or patience to deal with that, because there were far more important things to do. And also, I mean, there was a very, I would say, reasonable conclusion institutionally that more space you give to these people, it's better for them. So didn't want to go into many details, because it was an orderly process, and on the fear side, you know, if they wanted to make me be afraid, I mean, good luck. I'm not someone who gets scared so easily. And finally, again, there was an absolute urgency of finishing this reform, and nothing could, should, or would derail me personally from trying to conclude that task. And while I was there, so I was very focused. I was very calm, because I haven't done anything. So and I understood, you know, I understand also the history of propaganda in former communist regimes.
Yes.
I lived in one.
Yes.
So things that were shocking for others, I sort of understood.
Yes.
You know, that's Enver Hoxha talking, so it's fine.
Now, talking about the media and the role the media had to play in what happened back then, and the role it played in derailing, but also scrutinizing, because there was valid critical scrutiny. I have criticized it myself, and I consider my critiques valid at that time. You know, I didn't have an ulterior motive. But I think the media situation in Albania from 2017 sort of onwards was really, really bad. And I used to be involved quite a lot in media freedom advocacy, but I got disillusioned with it, because I realized that a lot of the people who were supposedly in it with me were not in it for the right reasons. They didn't actually want to change, they just wanted to criticize. When presented with the option of improving things, they didn't take it, because they just wanted to use it as a tool to criticize whatever. I'm wondering, because you've talked about self-regulation in the past, you've also been on the side of problems with the media and fake news and things like that. And of course, I don't expect that you monitor the Albanian media continuously even today, but do you see an improvement? Do you think things have changed? I feel that they have. I'm not doing investigative journalism like I was 5 years ago, you know, so I don't feel the heat maybe so much, but I do feel like things have got slightly better.
But you know, why justice reform was a mother of all reforms was, I think, and I would, you know, I think a lot of people would agree with me, is this sense of empowerment of you as a citizen, as little as it is, or, you know, in whichever amount was incredibly important, and also this sense that you can't get away with everything, is something that has given people more freedom to say what they believe. To be a journalist in Albania is very, very difficult. And I remember discussions in the delegation and wider in the EU institutional context, where at some point there was a hope that the market will regulate media. And I was like, no, in this type of markets, it doesn't happen. So what we need to do, and I tried to reinstitute some really grant support, financial support for independent media, because it's incredibly difficult to be independent
Yes.
when you are at complete mercy of whoever is your employer. And people, then there are some people who are happy to sell themselves for whatever. But those who want to do their job properly and those who are true journalists, I really always felt that it was an immensely difficult job. And every support that would mean an independent source of financial income would be of great help to bring further, capacity of the society and media space to tell the truth. So I don't know if that has in the meantime happened. What we had an idea of, again, reinstituting the grant schemes to support independent productions, to support people who want to do their job properly.
Yes.
But again, I don't envy anyone who is a journalist in Albania. It's
I was living in Malta before I lived in Albania, and I was a colleague of Daphne Caruana Galizia when she was murdered, and that's why I left Malta. And then when I was in Albania, I was doing sort of more investigative type of journalism, and I left in the end because I had a daughter, and it got to the point I had people I didn't know outside my house, people shouting at me in the street. I had plainclothes police officer protection a couple of times. I had death threats, and you just get to a point and you're like, okay, I've done my time doing this. I've got a child. I need to, even like mentally, it can be so stressful when you're just dealing with corruption and all these negative things all the time. Sometimes you just have to make a switch to something not less important, but slightly different. It is hard. But I do think things have improved slightly, but we have a long way to go. But we can say that for countries in the EU today as well. My colleague's murder is still not served. It's not solved, for example. We still haven't seen justice for that. So now I have the $1 million question for you. Can Albania join the European Union by 2030? Can it close the chapters by 2027?
Absolutely. Absolutely, for two reasons. First, the context has dramatically changed, and European Union has this urgency of consolidating European space, and enlargement is a pivotal part of that. But even more than that, Albania is really marching through these negotiations, and it's great to watch. And in a way, I can tell you, I saw it coming because there is a absolutely genuine wish of the citizens of Albania to finally become part of this larger union, not of Europe, because Albania is, has been in Europe from forever, but to become part of this larger community, and also a lot of incredibly hardworking people. And I don't think you can thank enough to many people who are doing their part in the administration. A lot of women, I have to say, a lot of young women, a lot of very well-educated people who are doing everything they can from the technical point of view, and most of all, this genuine push and wish of the people to do that. You don't find that in many other countries that are in the same process. And I think the European Union and the member states, they see it.